The NBA point guard position might legitimately be the most stacked position. We legitimately have guys who are all-star caliber players who aren't even going to make a top 10 point guard list. But to get straight into the video, today's video I'll be making a top 10 current day point guard list. This list is my opinion and it might be controversial, but nonetheless I'm pretty confident in my argument. Before we enter the video, I ask you to drop a like on this video as it does help my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want daily NBA content. I post every single day. Also, if you want to help me reach my goal of 1,500 subscribers, also drop a comment on this video and name like your top 10 point guard list, because I actually want to see that and I'll respond to all of them. Play that intro. Before I get into my top 10 list, I feel like I have to put some honorable mentions. The honorable mentions I want to give out is Mike Conley, because he was an all-star last season, and out of all of them honorable mentions, I think he's the best point guard. It was really close between him and the number 10 guy, but I think his underperformance in this year's playoffs makes him fall down for me. The next honorable mention is Ben Simmons, who was an all-star this year, but he obviously choked like in the postseason stuff. That definitely made him fall in the top 10. Then I want to give some respect to Kyle Lowry, who had a really good season. I think he's gonna be great for the Heat. To like just name some other guys: Malcolm Brogdon, D'Angelo Russell, LaMelo Ball, Lonzo Ball, Andrew Holiday. Those are my honorable mentions. Now into the top 10. At the number 10 spot, I have Jamal Murray. We all remember what Jamal did in the bubble, but don't forget in this year's regular season, he was still having the best season of his career, as he was averaging 21 points, 5 assists on crazy efficiency, shooting over 40% from 3, and he was getting better as the season was going along, but he did tear his ACL, which definitely messed up his rankings for me a little bit. He probably would have been closer to the top 6, top 7, maybe even close to the top 5 if that didn't happen, with his ability to score at such an elite level. But I really would have liked to see him play in the postseason. That could have really helped him out, but an ACL injury is nothing to just breeze past, so I think he is at the number 10 spot right now, but he definitely could go up in the future. At the number 9 spot, I have DeAaron Fox. DeAaron Fox just came off of an underratedly great season. I think he might be the most underrated player in the entire NBA. He just came off of a year averaging 25 points and 7 assists, shooting 47% from field. I definitely think he's on par with the other elite guards in the league. There's not a huge difference between him and some of the other players ahead of him. I would just like to see him play on a team that actually wins games. Not saying it's his fault at all, because Sacramento just sucks, but I would like to see him play some meaningful games, and I think he could do really well in those games, but I just gotta see it. I think that's what's holding him back from being closer to the top 5. At the number 8 spot, I have Ja Morant. Ja Morant is someone who's really criticized and someone who's really loved at the same time. A lot of people like to claim he's overrated, and I'm not gonna lie, I used to think he was overrated a little bit, because I used to think guys like Jamal Murray, De'Aaron Fox, and others were better than him. I didn't even think he was like a top 12 point guard. But what I realize now is that in his first 2 seasons, Morant basically led his team to the postseason both times when he wasn't expected to. And I know a lot of people are gonna say that he had a lot of help, but what people don't remember is that when Ja Morant was a rookie, literally no one, and I mean no one, had Memphis going all the way to compete for a playoff spot. But now everyone wants to act like he has so much help. Don't get it twisted. Yeah, he has some decent help, but he's clearly the best player on that team and the most important, and I think he's a player whose value goes beyond the box score. And to be honest, the main reason he's this high for me is due to how amazing he played in his first playoff stint against the number 1 seed in the NBA and a top 3 defense in the Utah Jazz. He went absolutely nuts, averaging 30 points and 8 assists, shooting 48% from the field. I honestly don't see anyone below him going off like in a series like that besides Jamal Murray, but obviously he had a big injury. Morant is legit. At the number 7 spot, I got Russell Westbrook, and most people who aren't biased will probably agree that Westbrook should be around this area, but if you're a Westbrook fan, you're probably going to say he should be top 4 or something like that. Westbrook definitely proved a lot of people wrong this season, as he averaged another triple-double and was a huge reason the Washington Wizards were one of the better teams in the second half of the season. Definitely deserves a lot of credit, because he's one of the best floor raisers in NBA history. The reason I don't have him over some of the other point guards is because I have not seen him have a good, or at least a efficient playoff series in 5 years, and I just don't think a guy with that playoff reputation can be top 5. Also, you have to realize that Westbrook doesn't feel well with other players that are better than him, and I think that can be something taken into consideration. Maybe he could have a great season alongside LeBron and Anthony Davis and maybe crack in there, but just right now he falls out of the top 5 for me. At the number 6 spot, I have Chris Paul. A lot of people might be thinking he should be higher, and some people might think he should be lower, but I have him at the number 5 spot because he literally came off a year where he led a team that hadn't seen success for a decade, and he led them all the way to the finals. They weren't even in the playoffs the previous season, and Chris Paul was definitely the biggest reason for that. I don't care what you say. I know they had improvements. Devin Booker was great. They had good coaching. Chris Paul was the biggest reason for the Suns making the finals. Don't get it twisted. And I see a lot of people criticize him for how he played in the finals. Chris Paul actually played really well in those finals. He played better than you would expect. It's just that at the end of the games he was selling a little bit, and he definitely has to be criticized for that. And honestly, that's why he doesn't crack the top 5 for me, just because he played so disappointingly in so much fourth quarters at the end of games. His box score stats don't show the full value of him, but his box score stats are so much worse than the other players who are ahead of them, and I think that has to go into consideration in this ranking. The 5th best point guard in the NBA, in my opinion, is Kyrie Irving. And I know a lot of people are going to say he should be number 3 or something like that. And I know Kyrie is a great scorer, could literally hit any shot imaginable. He puts so much attention on the defense. But we haven't seen Kyrie lead a team to anywhere. And he did have opportunities, as he did have some in Boston. He's literally playing on a super team where he gets a lot of easier shots than other players get. I think that's why he had his most efficient season. He's definitely a great scorer. And if you think he's ahead of some of the other players that are ahead of him, I don't think you're crazy. But last time we saw Kyrie lead his team in the postseason, he played absolutely horrible, and I think I'd rather have a player who can be the best player on the team that goes deep in the playoffs. At the number 4 spot, I got Trey Young. Trey's coming off of the best season of his career, as he played phenomenal in the regular season, surprising everyone and leading the Hawks to the 5th seed in the conference. And then he didn't just stop. In the postseason, he embarrassed the New York Knicks, playing amazing, where a lot of people thought the Hawks would lose. Then in the second round versus the Philadelphia 76ers, everyone for sure thought the Hawks would lose to them, but the Hawks ended up winning in 7 games. Then in the conference finals, the Hawks only lost in 6 games, and all of those series, Trey was playing absolutely fantastic, having multiple 40 and 30-point games. He definitely showed me that he deserves to be in the lead of the elite point guards. I don't think that he's overrated at all. I think he's being properly rated, because you have to realize this was an Atlanta team that was missing DeAndre Hunter for most of the run. Also, this Hawks team is they're really good. They have a bunch of depth and stuff, but Trey does not have a second legitimate all-star caliber player beside him. And honestly, in Trey's first playoff run as a number 1 player, he did better than Kyrie Irving ever has, and I think that has to be taken into consideration. He also didn't get lucky with injuries or anything like that, so Trey Young's legit. 3rd on this point guard list, I'm going to discuss Damian Lillard. We all know how good Lillard is. You could easily argue he should be at the number 2 spot. I don't think you're crazy if you think that. He's probably the most clutch shot maker in the NBA, and in my opinion, he's a top 10 player in the NBA. He's always going to show up for you in the postseason. The only reason I have him a little bit behind the other players who are ahead of him, who spoils Luka Doncic, is because I feel like Luka's a slightly better defender, and Luka is a better playmaker and rebounder. It's not a knock on Dame. There's not much he could do. He's a phenomenal player. I hope he gets traded somewhere nice. The next point guard I want to discuss is Luka Doncic. He came off one of the more impressive seasons in a while, averaging 27 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists on good efficiency. He's definitely a superstar and a top 7 player in the NBA. The thing that makes him so great is that he shows up in the postseason, as he nearly led his team to the second round against a team they had no business being close with. He pushed the Clippers to 7 games with literally no help. His second best player was Tim Hardaway Jr., whereas he was facing Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, two superstars, and they had great role players on that team. He also averaged 35 points, 10 assists, and 8 rebounds in the playoffs, shooting 49% from the field and 40% from three. This guy's truly amazing. I think in 5 years, he could potentially be the best player in the NBA. At the number 1 spot, I think we all knew who it was going to be. It's Steph Curry. Definitely is the number 1 point guard in the league. There's no argument at all. If you try to argue with me about it, you just don't watch basketball. I'm not going to listen to you. Seeing how great that he was this season just remind me how great he was. Shoot from half court. He creates open shots for his teammates just by standing there. He nearly led a team through with a bunch of below average players all the way to the postseason. He just has such a great impact on the game. Even with trash teammates, he's still able to average 30 points on crazy efficiency. Steph is number 1. He's a top 5, probably top 3 player in the NBA. To conclude the video, I just want to know, I know there's a lot of people who are going to disagree with my list. That's pretty natural. All I ask is you be respectful if you ever disagree, and just let me know your own top 10 list. Anyways, guys, that's it for the video. Let me know your own top 10 list. Drop a like on this video if you agree with what I said. Drop a comment on this video because I will respond to all of your comments. Also, subscribe to my channel if you want more in my content like this, as I post every single day. And I'm out.